So look, I want to jump right into this because I think we're getting close to something. Maybe it's a breakthrough. Maybe it's your opportunity in your life where you decide how you're going to account for your life and what you're going to focus on and then who you're going to be responsible to.
Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
So today, our lesson is all about your responsibilities as a leader. Your responsibilities as a leader, which brings us into the third realm of authority. Now, this word is a word that is, I think it's misunderstood. It's called church. And we've been given the wrong definition, the wrong idea of what church really is. Because for the longest time, I've been going to church. Anybody here with me? You've been going to church, and I've been going to a church building. And that is what the idea of church was for me for many years, 40 plus years before I realized that church is not a building. Church is not a denomination. Church is something totally different. Church is a group of people from all walks of life, all over the world, all a part of this particular group. And they are the set aside ones. They are the ones who are with the king. They're the ones who are with the king. They've been called to work with the king. And the king is Jesus Christ, right? And Jesus Christ has the ultimate authority, which he delegates to all of us. So let's get back to the church real quick. So the church definition, many years ago when a word was used, it was called ecclesia. Ecclesia is a government term. Now, in our last few lessons, we were talking about, just the government of the world. But ecclesia is like similar to the word Senate or cabinet or the people who are appointed. And I would even say like a cabinet. So when you think about when you think about what this word really is, then if say, for instance, you was working with the king and, the king comes in, the king can do whatever he wants. There's no vote. The king is not saying, hey, let's vote on who we're going to bring in. No. The king says, you know what? I'm going to bring this guy over here. I want him to, I've got a really good opportunity for him to be the healthy accountant. I've got this other person here, he's going to do the strategic alignment, group. And I've got this other person, they're doing alignment media. Got this other person doing alignments. I've got this other. So the king appoints those who are part of his group. For some reason, they call it a church. And then we think it's like, oh, well, you got the Christian church, you've got the Catholic church, you've got all of these churches, you got all of these types of religions. And then we think that's church. That is not church. So let's just kind of get that part straight. The realm of the ecclesia, the realm of the government department that you were a part of, you were selected. Yes, you were selected. You have to be selected. And now when I say selected, then that just means that now you have to figure out how that selection works for you, right? Because you got to turn your life over. You got to turn your life over to the Most High, right? Turn your life over to the Most High. And by turning your life over to the Most High is going to lead you. It's going to lead you in a direction. And typically when you get led in the right direction, then it just becomes known because your actions, your assignment becomes visible out of the invisible. This assignment that I was given. I'm every day that I do it. It's funny. I just started reading this book, Atomic Habits. A friend of mine, had mentioned it. A couple of friends of mine mentioned this book to me, and I'm like, man, I don't have this book. Let me get this book. So I started reading it, and I'm just like, see, when it comes to change, and he said something. James Clear said something I'm so on point. This is things that I teach. The things that I've been living and working on in my own life. A lot of times we ask how. Man, how can I do this, right? And then that how, look, that's the worst question to ask. Then even, which he says, what? Then you ask what? It's a how question to a what question. A lot of times, well, what can I do? How can I lose weight or something like that? Or, what is it that I have to do in order to lose weight? So, what I'm saying? Then it's like, well, no, he says, who do you have to become to be a person who's healthy? And I'm just like, that's it. It's always about becoming. And when you start becoming, it starts really tiny. So when you become a part of this ecclesia, this church, when you get an assignment, the king is going to delegate to you. See, here's what the king does. Back in the day when you was young and maybe you was playing baseball or basketball, and so you're in school. Let's just go to school. And so you're in school and the teacher's picking the teams. This is exactly what Jesus does. He's like, you know what? I want you to play center field. I want you to play pitcher. I want you to bat first. I want you to play right field. I want you to play third base. I want you to play, left field, right field. I want you to play center field. I want you to be the catcher. You know what? I want you to stand back over here and cheer the people. Jesus Christ, the King, he's the one who gives out and delegates all the authority and gifts. He's giving out the gifts. So, but everybody's gift, there's different realms of gifts, right? You got teaching gifts. You've got, miracle gifts of miracles and, gifts of evangelism. You got gifts of helps. You have gifts of so many types that you've got administration gifts. You got these gifts, right? And so everybody's gift fits into an area within the ecclesia, because the ecclesia it's all about just building up what the ecclesia is about, which is the kingdom. That's what it's about. It's not about one denomination or church or whatever one you want to call it. It has nothing to do with any of those things. It has everything to do with the one kingdom who has one ruler. Yep. One ruler, and there's no voting in there. You get delegated to, that's it. And you get to do whatever the king says. And if you don't do it, then that's just on you. So let's think about this now, because now we know that the realm of the church or government department, ecclesia, this group of people who are now set aside, you got some responsibilities. And that's what we want to talk about really quick. Your responsibilities as a leader, I'm telling you, that's where whatever gift you are carrying, the authority that you have, you are now accountable for that. You are accountable for how you use it. You are accountable for actually becoming the gift that you've been given. See, because a lot of times we have not actually exercised our gift. What you see me doing today, it wasn't until I was called into the ecclesia. When the ecclesia brought me in, when the king himself walked me in and says, look, I've got an assignment for you. I think it's going to fit you perfectly. And when the king starts sharing it with you, you're like, well, can I do it? Well, if I'm giving it to you, then I know you can do it. So what I want you to do is every day, these are the types of things you're going to do. Now, here's what happens though. Sometimes you get a little sidetracked, right? We all do. The best of the best all will get sidetracked at some point. Here's the thing. When it comes to these habits, I love what James Clear said. When you know who you're going to become, all you have to do is focus on just making a little improvement. Just a little bit. Every day, you're not focused on how you're going to win or if you're going to win. What you're focused on every day is What's the task? What's the process? What's the system is what he said. See, a lot of times we focus on the wrong things, right? If we focus in on the system that needs to be created, I'm gonna tell you this is big for me. The system that needs to be created, it will generate the outcome. So you never have to look at the outcome. But because when you create the system around it, the process, and you focus on that every single day, who you're going to become, you now, instead of saying, and so he used a couple of different I think analogies where, say a person is trying to stop smoking, right? Person's like, oh, I'm trying to stop smoking, this, that, and the third. But then, well, no, this is the question he said. He asked somebody, or someone asked another person who's trying to stop smoking, hey, do you want to smoke? He says, no, I'm trying to stop smoking. And then he says, if you do it this way, this is the best way to do it. The person asked this other person, hey, you want to smoke? This person says, I'm not a smoker. He said, how you identify yourself. How you identify yourself is everything. And so you have to then identify yourself as who you want to be. So if you want to lose weight, then you have to identify yourself with a healthy person. If you wanted to stop smoking, you have to identify yourself with not being a smoker. If you want to be a successful business person, you now have to identify yourself as an entrepreneur who has hundreds of employees, building a big business, building a big brands. You have to identify yourself, as that person right now. So when you are faced with what you have to do in that moment is, what would the entrepreneur who's running $100 million business do? Would he do that? No. He would do this, or he would focus on this, or he would think about these things. Your identity as a leader in your authority is everything. But here's one of the things that was mentioned in the word. And the word says that if you're going to be this type of leader within the ecclesia, wherein the people that's coming in, the people that's a part of the ecclesia, are going to benefit from the position that you may have with your authority, then there's some things that you just got to make sure you got tight. You got to be tight with your family. You have to have that family realm. You got to have that in order, right? Your kids, you definitely can't be sleeping around. You gotta be what you gotta have one wife, he says, because you want to portray that you have actually been delegated to speak for the king. And if you're speaking for the king, then hey man, let's just get yourself together before you start becoming this authority. Before you start, using that gift in this particular manner. Look, I'm gonna tell you, 10 years ago, I couldn't do this. Nope. 20 years ago, I couldn't do this. Nope. I wasn't in order. Nope. Didn't have my life was out of balance, out of whack. I was not living at the right level. Because it's about how you live. So if you are a leader inside of the ecclesia, then look, man, focus in on who you are becoming. That's the biggest takeaway for today. Focus it because there are many of us who are leaders. And so you want to be the best that you can be based on who you are and who you intend to be. That is pretty much it. So guys, we are coming to the close. We are coming to the close of the purpose and power of authority. We have a few more lessons before we finish out the book. Hopefully you've gotten a book. Now, if you didn't get the book, man, we've got a new exciting book coming out, Next Level Faith, Moving Mountains in Uncertain Times. And I'm going to ask you to pick this book up because this book is now about action. This book is now about belief. This book is now about, there's some stories of people overcoming and people doing some things that they didn't know that they were equipped to do. There's some frameworks in this book that will help you to set yourself apart as a leader, as a person who's looking to become, the best version of yourself. And I'm gonna share how you can get this book within the next probably a couple lessons. And I'm going to ask you, purchase a few books. Here's why. Because now the book is not being published in a nonprofit business. So it's a for-profit business. However, it's a for-profit business, but the business is about putting out the work that would help people to change their life. So this book is the first book that would start helping people to start changing, start thinking differently. And so this is the first of a few. I don't know how many, but it's the first of a few. And so we're just asking that when you buy one, you buy two, maybe 3 or 4. Give them out. Help some other people because we're just asking for your support in that regard. So we thank you so much for doing that. We thank you so much for being a part of this. Don't forget, subscribe to the Account for Your Life channel on YouTube. And until next time, guys, I appreciate you. I love you. I'm Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant. What do? I help you to account for your life. God bless, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the Healthy Accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.